The Dow is down again today. We're watching Wall Street as President Donald Trump's tariffs create uncertainty in the market. Now, at the same time, we get a bit of a silver lining in new data showing inflation slowed in February. Prices jumped lower than economists expected. Here are the numbers. Prices up 2.8% from a year ago and 0.2% from January. Again, a slower bleed than expected. However, we know millions of you are still feeling it when you check out at the gas pump or maybe at the grocery store. And Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum kicked in today, threatening to push prices even higher. In a matter of hours, the European Union slapped tariffs right back on the U.S., targeting everything from farm products to motorcycles, bourbon, peanut butter, and even jeans. Canada also vowed to retaliate with more than $20 billion in tariffs on the U.S. Trump doubled down on his plans to impose reciprocal tariffs on the U.S. Take a listen.
YouTube has terminated our main channel with millions of views just for telling the truth. But you can help us regrow by just subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting down below. Thank you. Trump's tariff gambit is creating a classical case of economic whiplash, promising American strength while simultaneously tanking the markets. The administration keeps framing this as a negotiation, but our 401ks are paying the price for this high-stakes game of chicken. Notice how strategically the EU and Canada targeted the retaliatory tariffs. Bourbon, jeans, peanut butter. These aren't random products. They're deliberately hitting industries in politically sensitive Republican states. This is economic warfare with surgical precision.
Will these policies be worth it if they lead to a recession, even a short-term recession?
These policies are the most important thing America has ever had.
So it is worth it.
It is worth it. I don't think the only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with.
Been a week of U.S. stocks plunging. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board continues to call out President Trump in a way really that only the Wall Street Journal can, writing this in part: the trouble with trade wars is that once they begin, they can quickly escalate and get out of control, all the more so when politicians are nearing an election campaign, as Canada now is, or when Mr. Trump behaves as if his manhood is implicated because a foreign nation won't take his nasty border taxes lying down. We said from the beginning that this North American trade war is the dumbest in history, and we were being kind.
Trump's tariff approach with Europe shows the same pattern we're seeing globally, imposing broad taxes that disrupt established trade relationships and trigger immediate retaliation. The EU's measured but firm response demonstrates how quickly America's traditional allies are mobilizing countermeasures, highlighting the real economic consequences of these trade policies. What's particularly troubling is the timing. Launching trade conflicts with multiple allies simultaneously creates market uncertainty and undermines the very economic stability Trump claims to prioritize. Trump's blanket 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum have triggered an immediate and calculated European response. 26 billion euros worth of retaliatory measures targeting politically sensitive American exports. The EU's two-step approach shows that they've been strategically preparing for this moment, initially targeting symbolic American products like bourbon and peanut butter, before potentially expanding to more economically significant sectors like American beef. What's most concerning isn't just that these initial tariffs, but the unpredictability that they create in the global markets, as evidenced by Trump's erratic flip-flopping on Canadian tariffs just yesterday, leaving businesses unable to plan and investors increasingly nervous about where the next economic disruption will emerge.
Tariffs on the EU, will you respond to their retaliation?
Of course I'm going to respond.
You will retaliate.
The problem is our country didn't respond. Look, the EU was set up in order to take advantage of the United States.
Including Ireland? Is Ireland taking advantage of the US?
Of course they are. I can't, I have great respect for Ireland and what they did. And they should have done just what they did. but the United States shouldn't have let it happen. We had stupid leaders. We had leaders that didn't have a clue. Or let's say they weren't business people, but they didn't have a clue what was happening. And all of a sudden, Ireland has, you know, our pharmaceutical companies and other, this beautiful island of 5 million people has got the entire U.S. pharmaceutical industry in its grasp. And, you know, you mentioned housing and you mentioned other things. I mean, I have property in Ireland, as you know, and I love it. It does great. But I'd like to see the United States not have been so stupid for so many years, not just with Ireland, with everybody.
I'm going to say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs, and now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane. There is just no other way of describing it. And the trouble, Kelly, is that it shows there are no bounds around President Trump. This is very different from the first administration, where there were people around him who seemed to, I don't know what the word is, but smooth over some of the edges now. And the other thing that's not talked about, Kelly, is what's going on within the administration in terms of how they're treating the Constitution and laws. I think all of that is bad for the attraction of capital. And the gentleman from Bridgewater is 100% right. We need massive amounts of capital if we want to fund our deficits, pay for the things we want to pay for, sell our bonds, and have high stock prices. And it seems as if this administration is doing everything it can to chase foreign capital away.
Well, and we could go into the strategy of the insanity as a strategy in terms of our trading
Insanity
partners.
is not a strategy. I'm sorry. I'm with you, Kelly, in trying to look for silver linings. I'm a sunny
not
person.
Silver linings, tactics.
Some explanation for this other than insanity. I'm ready to accept it if you can come up with one.
YouTube has terminated our main channel with millions of views just for telling the truth. But you can help us regrow by just subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting down below. Thank you. When a CNBC senior economics reporter risks his job to call presidential actions insane on live television, we've entered uncharted territory. This isn't partisan hyperbole. It's economic experts sounding alarm bells about real damages to our markets and international standing.
I don't think we'll have a recession. Like I said, it's manufacturing. It's manufacturing.
Well, that doesn't mean there won't be. I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, no, manufacturing can easily cause a recession. Absolutely. I'm not saying that manufacturing means it's not going to happen.
Right.
I'm saying manufacturing is that you can make it happen. And when you get angry and when you kind of lose your temper and you get mad instead of like the way Scheinbaum's handle it in Mexico, it gets people nervous and upset. They want the president to be a little happier. There's nothing wrong with being happy. You can be tough as nails and be happy. But right now it just feels like, oh, we're going to just screw people have been screwing us for years and we're going to fight back, which is true. It's absolutely true, but you got to explain it very calmly and empirically how we're being hurt by in Italy, how we're being hurt by Germany. And this is going to stop and we're going to make it stop. And then don't scream at those countries. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because they know that they can stand their ground. You tell them, look, I am going to scream at you. Help us, and we'll help you. People are scared, Carl. You don't scare people. You don't scare. It's a wrong call.
Even Jim Cramer Hartley, an anti-Trump voice, is sounding the alarm that Trump could manufacture a recession through these unhinged policies. When Trump loses CNBC, he's losing the economic narrative. Trump threatening 50% tariffs unless Canada becomes the 51st state isn't just bad diplomacy. It's the international relations equivalent of a toddler's tantrum. This isn't negotiation. It's a national embarrassment.
Does this administration still consider Canada to be a close ally of the United States? Well, I think Canada is a neighbor. They are a partner. They have always been an ally. Perhaps they are becoming a competitor now. But as the president also laid out in his Truth Social post today, he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. And I actually looked into some of the research about the cost of living in Canada, and the cost of living is much higher than it is here in the United States of America. The average cost of a home in Canada is much higher. In Quebec, the highest tax rate for an income of $150,000 or more is 53.3%, more than half of Canadians' incomes they are being taxed on. So the president has made it clear that he believes Canadians would be better served economically, militarily, if they were to become the 51st state of the United States.
What's truly revealing is the Republican silence. As Ontario Premier Doug Ford says, behind closed doors, they all admit that this is crazy. Yet, publicly, they bow their heads to their God King while making markets stumble.
It's done. It's united the whole country, and the patriotism is running wild across the country. The likes I've never seen before in my entire life. We'll never become the 51st state. Canada's not for sale, and we want a great trading partner. We had the greatest neighbors in the world, the U.S., and it's not the American people. They didn't vote President Trump in on this type of mandate. He had a mandate to lower inflation, lower cost of living, create more jobs, and it's backfired on him. Inflation's going up. Jobs will be lost. He's taking more money out of Americans' pockets. For what reason? We're still trying to figure this out. Let's sit down at the table and negotiate this deal. If there's things he doesn't like, then we sit down and we have a conversation. But just going tit for tat, back and forth.
The press secretary casually suggesting Canada would be better served as the 51st state shows how deeply detached from reality this administration has become. They're sacrificing our most important alliance on the altar of Trump's ego.
Not the American people. It's not even the Republicans I speak to. And behind closed doors, all of them are saying, this is crazy what he's doing. And CEOs of the largest Fortune 500 companies are telling him this does not work. Protectionism doesn't work. Do we want a fair deal? Absolutely. And the only way you get a fair deal is by sitting at the table across from each other, and let's hash this out and be stronger together. We have more problems, more foes around the world than we need. We want to focus on our friends. United we stand, divided we fall. And again,
notice the pattern. Republicans whisper concerns in private but remain publicly loyal, while our allies like Canada are forced to stand up to the American bullying. Who are the real alphas in this situation? What we're witnessing is economic hostage-taking disguised as negotiation. Trump isn't offering Canada options. He's threatening destruction unless they surrender sovereignty. This isn't deal-making. It's international extortion.